Welcome to Invictus Porsche. My name is Basheer Zaheer. We've got this Porsche 911 here in front of us. This isn't any Porsche. This is actually the last of the naturally aspirated Porsche 911s. From basically 2014, 2015 onwards, all 911s became 3 litre rather than 3.8 litre, and they became twin turbocharged. This being the last of the naturally aspirated Porsche 911s with a 3.8 litre Boxer 6 engine. And I'll just be covering a little bit about what makes this generation of the 911s ultimately, in my opinion, the best 911 out there, both from a handling, from a GT point of view, and just the overall look, feel, design, and what it's like to kind of handle and sound, and why would I put my, £50,000 behind this rather than a 997.2. So, as a matter of fact, I'd like this video to be a bit of a comparison between this and a 997.2, as well as why the 991.1 has such a unique place amongst the Porsche 911 lineups. So just to kind of cover a bit of a history of the 911, from 1963 to 2015, they were all sort of naturally aspirated. If you wanted a turbocharged car, you bought a 911 turbo, which is something that we're not going to get into right now. But before I can get into the ins and outs of this video, please don't forget to subscribe. We earn out of YouTube. Now our earnings have gone up to about £300 from each channel. That gets donated to charity, so I do appreciate you watching the video, and you subscribing, and you giving us any love and any support you can possibly give us. And lastly, what I want to cover in this video is just the overall specification of it, and what is it that makes this 911 very unique, very special, and basically having every single spec item you could think of. So let's get to reviewing. If you're used to seeing an engine at the back of a 911, one big thing on this is that you're not going to actually see a big blob of an engine once you open up that rear boot lid. But underneath this rear boot lid, behind that rear axle S, we've found it synonymous with Porsche 911s ever since 1963. All the engines are behind the rear axle. And this setup right here generates out of that 3.8 litre displacement a phenomenal 400 bhp. 440 Newton meters of torque, and the 0 to 62 miles per hour possible in 4.3 seconds. And if you're wondering what the top speed is, that is 187 miles per hour. And overall, you'd be thinking, let me just show this. Overall, you'd be thinking, oh God, this is a slightly bigger 911, wider, longer. As a matter of fact, the dimensions from 1963 up until this generation, it's probably a couple of inches longer and a couple of inches wider. Ultimately, it's built on a very similar platform. It's got very similar dimensions. And to kind of put that out there to the test, to the purist, this generation of the 991, I'll call it the 991.1, this is what the iteration is called, as a matter of fact, is a lighter car than the generation before this, which was the 997. They were built between 2004 to 2011. You find examples of them in even 2012. So this is lighter because they've used a very different sort of sets of metal alloys, and overall they've made a more rigid, a more stronger, reliable car with a better engine. Of course, their DFIs, the second generation of the 997.2s are DFIs, so are these. But the engine in this is, you feel it. It's just the power is instantly available. It's naturally aspirated. You still have that progressive feel of going through the various gears. But the PDK gearbox on this and the engine on this, the way it feels, the way it performs, is how it should, in my opinion, be on the 997.2. But ultimately, you've got to give and take. Some people like the 997.2 because that's literally the last of the Porsche 911s, and some people, the last of the Porsche 911s built under the umbrella of Porsche, because this generation became under the Vague group. But ultimately, when you want a 911, that's just, I think, the perfect size, beautiful silhouette, and the next thing to do sensibly is to actually take it out for a drive. Getting into the driver's seat of a Porsche 911 in itself is an incredible experience. But to actually drive it as a daily and to own one, you know, it's, to me, is an absolute privilege. I was with a customer yesterday purchasing a car from, and he had a Porsche 911 parked in his garage, and it was just so beautiful to look at. And it's, the feeling is similar to having a warm cup of tea or coffee and just sitting there and like appreciating the car. And this I'll definitely be appreciating now. I'm going to put it in sport, and sports exhaust turned on, as you can hear it already, and enjoying it. And really the car isn't warm at the moment, but being able to sort of get this type of an experience out of it already, despite the engine not being warm and the exhaust system not popping and banging as you would expect from a 911. It's just a very surreal experience to have, because there isn't any other sports car really out there in the world of auto manufacturing that is really having the legacy, the heritage of the brand Porsche 911. Really, it's just an incredible experience overall. And right now it probably isn't the best of times to take something like this out for a drive, because it's the time where you see all the kids leaving the school there. The car park was full. But still, it just goes to illustrate that a car like this, you can take it out in traffic, to the school runs, to grocery shopping. And if you really want to engage with this, use the paddle shifts. Get a nice sound out of the engine, drop it again, and straight away the dynamics of the sound that you get out of the car completely changes. And here I'm just going to put my foot down and then do a sharp left, and this is all to sort of get a feel to the car, handling wise, experience wise. So I'll get going. I just wish I had a much longer run to do this. And let's just talk about, again, one more time, I know I've covered the performance of it already, but this is 3.8 litre, naturally aspirated, producing 440 Newton meters of torque, 0 to 62 miles per hour in an incredible 4.3 seconds. And a top speed of 187 miles per hour. You pair that incredibly reliable engine with the 7-speed PDK transmission, and this PDK transmission out there in the world of auto manufacturing, by far, in a sports car, is the best transmission, full stop. And I know you've got the likes of the DSG or the DCT, but no one really has the licensing to the PDK other than Porsche, because they want to own this, and this is a transmission that you will find in the 991.1 GT3 RS and the GT3s. So the same generation GT3 and GT3 RS only came in the PDK transmission, because this is how highly these transmissions were considered by Porsche. Right now, I'm doing speeds that I shouldn't be talking about on camera. around these twisties and these bends, there isn't a comparison to the Porsche brand. Really, nothing comes anywhere close to these cars. Spec-wise, jet black metallic with the 20-inch Carrera S alloys, side heated door mirrors. Where this car really takes off and is absolutely incredible is what you find on the inside of this. Right from the get-go, this panel is full with the sports exhaust button here, sports chrono plus package, the sport plus, and the PSM. And you've got the ever desirable sport steering wheel with paddle shifts if you like to feel like you're driving it as you would from an enthusiast point of view as a sports car. It's done 57,775 miles, which is very good for its age. It's got a full Porsche service history. These are the leather seats. They're the sports leather seats, four-way electrically adjustable. The side door mirrors are electrically adjustable. The overall sort of sitting into the vehicle is very comfortable. You know, I've had customers of mine recently that are sort of hitting 80 years old, and they kind of want to experience something like a Porsche 911, and this is the generation that I've actually recommended them. So whether you're 40 or 50 and you're looking for the best of both worlds, I think the 991s are brilliant. If you've got a kit that you want to put in, you can actually retrofit the ISOFIX kit or the points here, so you can deactivate the airbag for them. At the back, you've got plenty of space here to actually take a seat comfortably. As a matter of fact, you get slightly more space here at the back than you would in the 997. I mean, I can sit in at the back quite comfortably for probably about 45 minutes to an hour before my back starts to ache. So this is on the back. And now at the front, from a practicality point of view, you've got a boot space, which is big enough to have two medium-sized suitcases, and you can have your handbags, some more shoes, bags, etc. So plenty of space there. And hopefully that covers you from a spec point of view. And lastly, I'll quickly take you through the paperwork. Service history-wise, this has got a full Porsche service history. The first service happening at Porsche Centre Guildford. Then the second one being at Porsche Centre Brooklands, then Brooklands again, then Brooklands, and then in December 2021 at 49,000 miles, it had its minor service. Prior to this, in 2019, it was the major service. So the minor service in 2021, for which we have the receipt, and I'll go through that paperwork in a minute. But ultimately, this car has had no expenses spared. Everything that it ever needed has all been done through Porsche itself. And that last bit of work that it actually had at Porsche was done in February 2022, and that included all new front discs, pads, and just any other advisory items that they had recommended, such as the high-level brake light and the spoiler not working. So this is the breakdown of all the brake pads, the brake discs, and in total he'd spent a fair bit of money, all amounting to £4,283, all done at Porsche, including the fact it had the driver belt work carried out as well. Furthermore, this is the invoice for the service in 2021. This customer that had all this work carried out, Mr. Craig Bookhart, had actually owned this vehicle since 2016, so he's kept all the invoices since 2016. Again, it had the minor service work carried out. This is the cost of the minor service. In total, it's come to £1,120 because he's had the driver belt replaced as well. This is the health check. At the time, they had actually advised doing the front brake pads, which were at 20%, and rear brake pads at 50%. That work has been carried out, as well as the driver belt that's been carried out, and the brake light in the rear spoiler. So all the advisories were carried out. The AC has been serviced as well. The front luggage, the front lid struts, they've been replaced as well. So have the back ones as well. And this was the MOT that was carried out, all passed with flying colors, no advisories. And there's more invoices as well to kind of continually back up the rest of the service history. So obviously this part of the video is there to kind of explain to you and show you the paperwork in case you're looking to buy this 911. I hope I've answered all your questions. If there's any other questions, anything else you'd like to discuss, please don't hesitate to contact me. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.